beats, but he just managed to keep it out of the wall, and Rahal had to cede the place. So Zanardi to second, Rahal down to third, Pruitt's fourth, Ribeiro fifth, Greg Moore in sixth, Michael Andretti is seventh, Bozell eighth, Vassar ninth, Tracy is 10th, Guterman 11th, De Ferran is in 12th place, then it's Brian Herter 13th, and Dario Franchitti in 14th position, 2 seconds behind Brian Herter, but closing that gap up fairly quickly as well. Big train of cars, there you are, just going down pit straight at the moment. Very, very close indeed as Andretti goes past Vitolo. Again, he stays out of the way pretty comfortably. Just going past our position now, Dario Franchitti, just closing that gap up to Herter a little bit, but it's becoming harder work now because he's getting up amongst the quicker runners. As Michael Andretti now, look at this, Andretti on board, you ride with Michael Andretti, looks at Greg Moore, tries to go around the outside. Now here's a risky manoeuvre, but he does it. Michael Andretti goes up one place, that puts him into 6th place now, and Andretti, who lost ground at the beginning of the race when he got caught out by the incident between Franchitti and Rahal, now begins to make up some ground himself.
That was a good move, wasn't it, by Michael Andretti? Difficult place to pass that. He's got good straightaway speed, I think, and he was able to draw alongside Greg Moore, and then Michael Andretti's experience, and you can see the marbles here offline just incidentally. You just saw them in the corner of the screen there, but a great move by Michael Andretti, as you say, up into 6th place now, and next in his sights will be Andre Ribeiro.
Yes, Andre Ribeiro driving a great race at the moment as Andretti slides his way out of that turn 11. There's Ribeiro at the back of this group, the yellow, red and blue. He just locked up. That was the one locking up, Andre Ribeiro, the Brazilian, who was on pole here last year, had a good race, didn't quite work out for him in the end, was a little unlucky. Dennis Vitolo, meanwhile, has come into the pits, which is probably a bit of a relief for the leaders, and Arndt Meyer is the next one that is about to be lapped by Mark Blundell, the young German rookie who's been competing this year. We're taking a look at a replay of the pass of Michael Andretti on Greg Moore, and Jeremy, this pass, just textbook stuff really on the outside.
Yeah, isn't it? Just absolutely textbook, and laid on the brakes there. Greg Moore certainly didn't press the issue. He certainly seemed to back out, let him go, didn't he? Didn't force the issue at all. He's quite content at this stage, not just to make sure that he doesn't overwork his tyres, I think, and keep everything in control. Just if he can stay close to Michael Andretti, he's still in the top half a dozen. He's looking at the PPG Cup Championship is Greg Moore, and as long as he finishes in the top 5 or 6 places, he'll be happy.
Well, Mark Blundell still leads at the moment from Zanardi, Rahal, Pruitt, Ribeiro, Michael Andretti in 6th place now. Gap between the two leaders was 1.2 seconds last time around. Arndt Meyer now gets out of the way, we hope, of Alex Zanardi. Yes, he does, reasonably safely, and slots back in behind Zanardi again. So Zanardi continues his chase of race leader Mark Blundell, and Blundell has more than sort of trebled the number of laps that he's led already this year, although he's won a race this year already. Mark Blundell, there by the way is the car of Dennis Vitolo being pushed away. Mark Blundell has won a race in Portland this year, but he's led very few laps. Remember, he only grabbed the victory in Portland on the very last lap. So Mark now here at Toronto has led more laps than he has throughout the rest of the season, and it's really just goes to show the confidence, the ability, the way this team has gelled in recent weeks with that result in Portland, and even before that with Alan McDonald working so well with Mark in terms of the engineering side of things, and everything really clicking at the moment. But still in the early stages, Rahal moves past Arndt Meyer safely. He's still being chased by Scott Pruitt in 4th position, and now you're on board with Andre Ribeiro. He's in 5th place, and he also is about to slide past Arndt Meyer as we go down this long straight. Let's just see with Meyer, let's hopefully he moves over to the left-hand side. Ribeiro is able to go down on the inside safely on the brakes into that position. De Ferran into the pits. Now then, this is early. Lap number 23, and there must be some sort of problem. They've got that front cover off, so it looks as though De Ferran's in trouble here. Yeah, and that of course put Dario Franchitti up another position, now up to 13th, and he's closed up on the back of Brian Herter's Shell Reynard Ford. So Dario's still making very, very good progress indeed. Running the same sort of pace as the leaders, mid 61-second laps as opposed to 58.6 of his pole, but really doing a fine job so far, making up for that early contretemps there in turn 1, and keeping his cool, making progress. Good job. We just had news from the pits that it's a braking problem, an intermittent brake problem for Gilles de Ferran, and that's what's caused him to come into the pits, and that's why they've got that front cover off and delving down into the pedal box there. Patrick Carpentier is also into the pits, and that's a very early stop. They're doing a wing change on the front of that car. Now, whether he's just struggling with handling, a little bit of a slow stop as he gets away once more. Patrick Carpentier running quite a long way down the order, but that puts him even further down now. Got him down in 26th position at the moment, and the Canadian having a tough time on home territory where he won a race here last year in the Atlantic Series. Well, back to what's happening up front. Michael Andretti still chasing after Andre Ribeiro, and the Swift chassis has been working well all weekend here, but they just haven't had much luck, the two of them in the race. Christian Fittipaldi's running down in 17th place. Remember, he got involved in that incident at the start. He stopped, stalled, and he also had to start at the back again. So he's also fighting his way up through the field. But the Swift's chassis of Andretti and Fittipaldi really are looking good around this street track. And Michael Andretti was talking just on Friday about how they've managed to transfer so much information from the Lola that they ran here last year directly onto the Swift, and for it immediately to be fast as soon as it hit the street track here in Toronto. But Andretti in 6th now, still looking for a way of catching Brazilian Andre Ribeiro just ahead. Coming down to lap 1 of the Toyota cars as well, as Ribeiro a little bit closer in there as well. That's a good view of Michael Andretti.
Yes, a good close-up view of that car. That was Juan Fangio's car. He's running down in 22nd place. A lap down there. Good exit out of that corner for Michael Andretti. He pulls up alongside Andre Ribeiro on the outside of it into turn 6. No way he can make a pass there, but he's certainly making his presence felt. Andre Ribeiro knows that Michael Andretti is not only behind him, he wants past.
He does indeed, yes, and I think everybody treats Michael Andretti with a lot of respect. They know he's a hard racer, and he'll take any chance that's half given to him. There's Paul Tracy, our championship leader at the moment, down in 10th position. His championship lead just 11 points, but let's see how Paul drives today. There have been occasions this year where the car hasn't been quite right, but he's shown a good degree of maturity this year so far in terms of scoring points when perhaps the car's not a race winner. Let's see if he can manage to do that again on sort of home territory here.
Yeah, actually lost a place on that last lap to Mauricio Guzman. I think this is it coming up here. There they are diving down inside Aunt Maya. Paul Tracy gets it well sideways under braking there, clips the wall with the left rear corner. Oh, that's why he lost the position.
Yeah, well, what was I just saying about him not making too many mistakes, eh? Well, there you go. Paul Tracy losing a place to Maurizio Guzman, but he's still there. He's still in the fight. That's the main thing. There he goes in the number 3 Penske, and Penske's looking forward perhaps to next weekend when they get to their home track, the Michigan International Speedway, where the 500-mile race will certainly sort a few of them out. Mark Blundell leads this race so far. 3 seconds his advantage over Zanardi. Interesting to see that Zanardi has not really closed up this gap, Jeremy.
No, because Mark Blundell lost a couple of seconds when he had to get past Hiro Matsushita, and the gap was down to just over, well, not much over a second actually, about 5 laps ago, and Mark has continually increased the gap, just around about 3 seconds now. So Mark able to run a good consistent pace here, just a tad faster, I think, than Alex Zanardi. Interesting stuff.
Now, we completed 28 laps. We'll be beginning to get into the pit lane window, the pit stop window, fairly soon now. Going to be around lap 35 or lap 30 to 35 that we'll see them coming into the pits. Oh, look at that, Ribeiro locking up on the brakes, trying to get past Matsushita, and that's almost given Andretti a chance again to get past the Brazilian. Doesn't quite make it. Matsushita needs to get out of the way a little bit there for Ribeiro's sake, and it's not proving very easy. What is Matsushita doing? He seems to be in the middle of the road, which makes life very difficult for everybody. But what you've got to remember is that there's a lot of rubber being thrown offline here. The drivers were talking about it as early as Friday. A lot of marbles offline. Ooh, squeezing past. Ribeiro gets through in the end, and he has to take to that rather offline area, and that probably is why both those cars sliding there. They both picked up rubber offline as they got past Matsushita, and you could see the evidence as the cars both slid more than we've seen over the last few laps. De Ferran's car back in the pits, still being worked on with the Walker Racing crew, and after such a good run recently, they're in trouble.
And Paul Tracy comes into the pits. We're looking at Gilles de Ferran's car still being worked on there, but Paul Tracy just came in the pits as well. The Penske guys changing tyres, having a look at that left rear corner, and he seems to be on his way again. So there he goes now, Paul Tracy back into the fray. Was running in, he came into the pits in 13th place, which moves Dario up 1 more place, 12th for Dario Franchitti, and Paul Tracy now back at the tail end of the cars on the lead lap.
So we're beginning to see the first of the pit stops now. The leaders should be coming in fairly soon, I would think. think, back on board with Michael Andretti. And we've had a report that there was contact between Gualter Sales and Al Unser. Sales is running in 13th position, Al Unser now in 15th.
Yes, Unser's been stuck behind Sales the whole race. Several people have managed to get past Gualter Sales, Al Unser Jr. not among them.
Well, he's obviously getting a bit frustrated in his attempts to get past, and there's been a little bit of contact, but I think they've both survived. They're still going round as the leaders have gone through. Rahal then in third, Pruitt, Ribeiro, Andretti, Moore, then Bozell. Both of the Patrick Racing cars going well, both Pruitt and Bozell well up in the ranking at the moment. Guterman slips past Hiro Matsushita there, and then Jimmy Vasser is the next one on the list to go through. Then it's Brian Herter. There's Franchitti. There's our first glimpse of the Scotsman since the early lap disaster when he and Bobby Rahal made contact. Meanwhile, Greg Moore coming under pressure from Raoul Bozell there. And Greg Moore not showing the sort of pace we might have expected, and perhaps this first stint the car not working as well as he would like. We may see some changes from Greg Moore and the Forsyth Racing team. They may well make a few handling modifications to this car when he comes in for the first stop in the next few laps.
Yeah, as you say, pit stops beginning to make. Al Unser Jr., we talked about a little bit of content there. He is in the pits in car number 2. He was running 15th, now falling back off the lead lap. You can see the damage to the front of the corner cut.
That's right. There's a bit of a straightening up process going on. Some subtle engineering on the front wishbones of Al Unser Jr.'s car. There obviously was a fairly hefty contact between him and Sales, and oh, what a disappointment. We keep saying it, don't we? Every race it seems to be a disappointment for Al Unser Jr., but whatever it is, he is down the order once again. Mark Blundell leads after 30 laps here. Alex Zanardi in second position, Rahal in third, Pruitt is fourth, Ribeiro fifth, and Andretti holds on to sixth place. Welcome back to Toronto. Brian Herter's just come into the pits. He's just been passed by Dario Franchitti, and Franchitti's in fact moved up to 9th position now with a few stops being made, but Blundell is yet to come in. Look at the in front there. You can see the Motorola guys getting ready, and it looks as though race leader Mark Blundell is set to come into the pits. He's in. Mark Blundell is into the pits. The race leader after 33 laps, and second place man is also in. This is going to be a battle between the Pac West crew and the Ganassi team. There is Alex Zanardi. These two were separated by some